Information we're going to focus on is reflection. So you do need to make sure you're taking notes on this. Here's the definition of a reflection. What happens is a transformation that flips a figure across a line called the line of reflection. What we're going to focus on in this lesson is reflecting about the x-axis and the y-axis. So if you could go ahead and write down this piece, when you reflect about the y-axis. If I think of this point 1, 2 in the red, and I reflect it about the y-axis, I have this imaginary line here, and I flip it, reflect it, I'm going to get this new point, negative 1, 2. What that does, it's changing the x value to an opposite sign, a negative x. So please make sure you write this down right here. Your negative x. When you reflect about the y-axis, you're going to have an opposite sign for your x. All right. We come over to this other side. Reflect about the x-axis. So here's our x-axis, and we have this imaginary dotted line. And we're going to flip it about that yellow line. If I have this as my original point, 1, 2, and I want to flip it, it's going to come down to be 1, negative 2. So what value changed? This changed, the negative y. So please make sure I'll just highlight here again. If you have x-axis or your y-axis, which one do you negate? All right, so let's go ahead and do an example of this. So you have a point 2, 6. So let's go ahead and graph that. So we'll say this is 2, 2, 4, 6. We want to graph this point. Over 2, up 6. We'll do that on both graphs. All right, make sure you're pausing if this isn't enough time for you. So the first thing we want to do is we want to reflect it about the y-axis. So here's my y-axis, here is my dotted line. So imagine flipping above that line. What number is changing? Is it the x values or is it the y values? Hopefully you remember it's going to be your x values. So what we want you to do is we want you to write this, x comma y. How you change is that you're changing the x value to the opposite sign. So now your new order pair is going to be negative 2, positive 6. So there's where you'll end up, negative 2, positive 6. Head over to this example. Now reflecting about the x-axis. So here's your x-axis. Here is your dotted line. You flip it about the x-axis. What number is changing? Is it the x-coordinate piece or the y-coordinate piece? So what happens is it's going to be your y. So you have to think opposite on these. It's kind of goofy. So your x will stay, but now your y will be the negative. So your new ordered pair then will be 2 stays as it is, and then 6 becomes the opposite sign. So it's going to be 2, negative 6 will be the new point. So now we're down here. All right, that takes care of reflection.